Hello everyone. In this video, we'll take a look at an example of an interface implemented as a contract. So the name of the interface is payment processor. Interface keyword followed by the name of the interface. Firstly, we have data members inside the interface. Data members are implicitly constants, although we have not used a final keyword over here. First data member is string platform name. The platform name is global payment platform. Second data member is transaction fee percentage, which is platform fee of 2.5%. Next, we have a method signature. The name of the method is process payment. The return type is void. Arguments are double amount. There is only one parameter. So the parameter list is just consisting of this one parameter. And immediately after this, we have semicolon. There are no opening or closing braces, directly semicolon. There is no abstract keyword mentioned, but this is an abstract method because this is just a method signature. Okay. There is no implementation of the method. Now, there can be some methods which have implementation inside the interface. There are two cases, default method and static method. Now, default method is the one in which the implementation is given in the interface. That is the default implementation for all the classes that will implement the interface. So there is a keyword called default, which is the first thing you'll specify, followed by the return type of the function, followed by the name of the function, which is show transaction fee, and the parameter is double amount. Now, to calculate the fee, we'll multiply the amount by the transaction fee percentage divided by 100, and then we'll print the message transaction fee for the transaction of rupees. No, for this is the transaction amount, and the transaction fee or platform fee which is levied is this much. Now, this is printf. You must have studied printf in C or C++. Basically, it is a formatted print statement. Here you have a format string %2f. Okay, that means %.2f means there will be two digits after the decimal place in this floating point number. Similarly, in the result, there will be two digits after the decimal place, to the right of the decimal place in this number. F indicates it's a floating point number. So this entire thing, %2f, this much will be replaced by amount, and this %.2f will be replaced by the fee, value of the fee variable. So value of the amount variable will replace this, and value of the fee variable will replace this in the final message that is printed. Okay, so this is the default method. Now, how is the default method called? Basically, there will be a class which will implement the interface, and then an object or a reference variable of that class can be used to call the default method. Okay. Whereas in static method can be called just by specifying the interface name dot the method name. So this is the method name display platform info. This is a generic welcome message that will be displayed every time the program executes. Okay, so print welcome to this particular platform. Now here instead of having a constant string, we are writing platform name over here. So if there is any minor change in platform name in future or whatever, that will be reflected over here. Then we have the some message, all payments are secure and reliable, or whatever you want to display. So this is display platform info. This is a static method. So default methods and static methods can have implementation within the interface. Now, implementing the contract for different payment processors. Okay. So here we have two examples. Now just remember that this is a toy example. There are many minute and important details in real life implementation of such systems. If you create your own app or your own online shop, then you have to go through a lot of process. But this is just a toy example, just to show that the contract over here is whichever class wants to implement this interface has to write the code for process payment method. Okay. Now, so this is compulsory. It has to override the process payment method because it says that it implements the interface payment processor, So it has to implement, or it has to override, basically, it has to override the process payment method. That is, it has to add its definition. Now, in this case, we have a message processing payment of rupees, whatever. So as we'll see when we run the program, we like it happens in real life transactions. The person at the desk will enter some amount on the machine, let's say, and that amount will be passed to this method. So process payment, and this amount will be printed over here, percent point to F. Okay. Now this is just to introduce some delay. Okay, because to simulate a real world transaction delay. Okay, the process actually goes to the server. The request for the processing, the request actually goes to the server through the network, and then the reply comes back from the server. So it takes a second of time or whatever. So this is just to simulate that delay. Okay, and after that transaction is processed, hypothetically, then we get the message success. Thank you for using Razorpay. Similarly, for InstaMojo, we have similar thing. Okay, transaction gets processed using InstaMojo, and we get the success message afterwards. Okay, again, in real world scenarios, you will have error message and all those things. But my point here is just to illustrate the interface payment processor. Whoever chooses to implement this interface has to implement the void process payment method. Thus, it has to override that method, and it has to provide implementation details for this method. What if a class does not do that? In that case, the class has to be declared as abstract, which we'll study in some future videos. Like, what do you mean by an abstract class? Okay, but right now we are done with both our classes, and now let's go to the main method. So in the main method, we ask the user, we basically display a menu to the user. And now this is the very important part, is here where we are actually implementing polymorphism using interfaces. This is polymorphism using interfaces. So first we have a reference variable of interface. So remember in the previous theory video, we had mentioned that uh, interface is a reference type. So this is the name of the interface, payment processor, and it has a reference variable processor. This is not an object, obviously. Interfaces cannot be instantiated. This is a reference variable. It can store the address of Razorpay processor object or InstaMojo processor object, depending on what choice the user gives. If the user enters one, processor will contain the address of a Razorpay processor object, and if the user enters two, then the processor reference will have the address of an InstaMojo processor object. Depending on which object's address processor has, or which object the processor points to, depending on that, processor dot process payment will have a different output. Okay. Okay. So to show you the call of default method here itself. Now here first we have the static method. Okay. So payment processor is the name of the interface dot name of the static method. This is the static method call. And then here we have the default method call. So processor, that is the reference variable, dot show transaction P. Doesn't depend at which object is the processor pointing towards, or which object's address processor contains. Default method will have the same implementation, which is as given in the interface body itself. Okay. And then we have process payment, and then we give the user a choice whether the user wants to stop or whether user wants to continue. Okay. And we just process this just like we do for any menu driven program. Basically, scanner.next is used to take the string as input, and we just want to handle all the cases that the user may enter spaces before or after the yes or no string, and the user may enter it in all caps, or y is capital, or n is capital. So in that case, we are converting it to lowercase, and then we are comparing the user response with yes. If it is yes, we continue. If it is anything other than yes, we just, exit the while loop. Okay. So continue transaction flag becomes false. Continue transaction flag, which is initially true, it becomes false if the user enters anything other than yes. Okay. So let's run this once. Okay. So polymorphism in action. Now I enter 1 and I enter the amount is, let's say, 10,000 rupees, and it says processing payment via Razor Pay, and thank you for using Razor Pay. Now let's say I enter yes, and I enter the choice as InstaMojo. So now let's say I enter some other amount, okay, and I enter so processing payment via InstaMojo, success, thank you for using InstaMojo. So you have seen polymorphism using interfaces in action. If you have any questions, any doubts, do post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.